Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 4 years, you've probably at least heard of the term fake news. After all, Donald Trump has tweeted the term 150 times in the span of 1 year. Put simply, fake news can either refer to factual news that one deems fraudulent because it doesn't support their own beliefs, or actual fake news, news that is just, well, fake. We're talking about the second one. Think fake news doesn't affect you? Well, it probably already has. Let's talk about why. The news targets readers and viewers by aiming to trigger an emotional response through sensational headlines and inducing defense mechanisms. News corporations love to do this through something Midoff calls outrage discourse. Ever gotten in a fight with someone? You probably can instantly recall one. News media companies know this, and that's why many intentionally use methods of confusion and systematically choosing which facts to include in news stories. When these writers amp up the anger and strong emotion in their claims, we call it outrage discourse. Anyone with a Facebook or Twitter account has probably caught themselves angry at a friend or family member because of an article they shared or a comment they posted. This is exactly what many news writers want. So, how does this affect teens? Well, Rob reports that only 44% of teens feel confident in distinguishing fake news from the real deal. Many young adults rely on content other than verifiable fact to determine whether or not news is real or fake. Did mom or dad share it? Your best friend? Your favorite celebrity on Instagram? Did it go viral on YouTube? Most teens rely on their favorite social media platforms for their first source of news, according to a study from the American Press Institute. Quick sound bites, headlines, and photos attract teens and make it easy for them to neglect fact-checking and source verification. This opens the gateway for the spread of fake news stories. Remember outrage discourse? Well, this tends to even heavily influence teens in their search for news. The adolescent brain is famous for one being fraught with emotion and impulse-driven behavior. Remember puberty? Yep. The chemical changes occurring in the brain during adolescence can cause teens to become intense subjects of outrage discourse. According to Journell, teens are attracted to reading and sharing posts that are steeped in outrage discourse, not only because of their emotions, but also because of a need to share content that will achieve the greatest number of likes and comments. Clark and Marchi observed that teens expressed a desire to write themselves into the news, and that they were able to gain a greater sense of identity by doing so. But what if the news they are aligning with isn't really news at all? Journell states that 63% of teens surveyed reported emotions of anger, depression, and fear due to the news that they had consumed. It's clear that fake news can have a tremendous effect on viewers, especially younger generations. So, how can we manage this? Students need to learn how to be responsible researchers, even while casually scrolling through their Instagram feed, whether via source verification, fact-checking, or other techniques described by Weinberg and McGrew. After all, teens spend an average of 7 hours a day on their phones. But how much of it is real?